That's right!
Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Mika Burton.
Okay, so this video is about Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and normally in videos like this, we ask the question, is it good?
But this one's a little bit different.
A little bit.
Because we've read the reviews for this game, and to say that they're good is a complete understatement.
Also, we've played it.
Yes, also we played it, and it's great. So the question for this game isn't, is Breath of the Wild good? The question is this one of the best reviewed games ever? Which is an awesome question to be asking. Is the Switch's signature launch game venturing into literally best game ever territory?
So far, yeah, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is already ranking among the best games of all time. It currently has a 98 score on Metacritic based on 56 reviews. So even if you are a review skeptic who is certain that someone somewhere was paid to write a nice review, I know there are a lot of you who've read the comments. 56 reviews.
It's a lot.
Averaging 98. That is, like, no matter what, that is spectacular. That makes it the best reviewed game of the last 9 years since Grand Theft Auto 4. The only other games with 98 meta scores are Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and Soul Calibur. So yes, we are already legitimately not just paid your way in to the all-time greatness here. And as reviews keep coming in, it is still possible that Breath of the Wild could hit a 99, maybe. Likely? But possible, yes. Only one other game in history has actually done that, and that was Breath of the Wild's older brother, Ocarina of Time.
It'll be a family affair. Okay, so let's dig into the reviews, which, as we said, are really good.
Now, overall, the consensus among reviewers is that Breath of the Wild has redefined not just the Zelda franchise, but also the open world genre, giving you a degree of freedom to explore that has never before been seen in a Zelda game. More than one reviewer has said the game's sense of exploration and discovery has made them feel like kids again, which is saying a lot because a lot of us initially played Zelda as a kid, and that experience sticks with you. Whatever the first Zelda you played was a defining moment. It was very formative, and not in a creepy way, in a good way. Some grizzled game reviewers have even gone a step farther and called it the best game they've ever played. And some of these reviewers are very grumpy.
Yeah, there's a lot of grumpy reviewers out there. But the first thing that many reviewers noted about Breath of the Wild is that it takes all of the traditional rules of a Legend of Zelda game and just lights them on fire and just throws them off a cliff.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing. Like, yes, the classic Zelda formula of either dungeon, get item, use that item to beat dungeon boss, repeat, it's gone. It's totally gone.
As Destructoid put it, A Link Between Worlds dabbled in this concept with item renting, but Breath of the Wild blows the doors off that idea with an amplifier that goes to 11, jumps off the stage, and crowd surfs.
So yes, if you want to, you can do the game's 5 dungeons out of order, or not at all if you want to. You get spells from clearing each one, but your core powers come in the form of runes, which you acquire in the beginning of the game. Those runes give you the ability to create remote bombs, manipulate magnetic objects, stop time, and create pillars of ice and pools of water. And you get those pretty early in the game, like first few hours.
Yeah, the tutorial is basically getting all of those, and then from there on you have this set of things to fall back on. Giant Bomb wrote, by giving you all of this up front, Breath of the Wild is essentially saying, here you go, have fun, and setting you loose. How much freedom do you have? If you want to, you can head off to fight Ganon almost immediately, reviewers noted, which means we'll probably see a lot of pretty cool speedruns of Breath of the Wild very soon.
Giant Bomb said, this can be either the shortest or, more likely, the longest Zelda game, depending on how you play it. You decide when it's time to end the game. It's a great feeling, and I loved having such a defined goal throughout.
In the end, Breath of the Wild does one thing that made Ocarina so great, reviewers said, and that is it takes risks, and most of them pay off. Not necessarily all of them, but most of them.
Most of them. As We've Got This Covered's review noted, as a longtime Zelda fan who's played every other title to completion, I spent the first few hours of the game unlearning what I picked up from years and years of enjoying the series. The room spun as I reacted with equal parts shock and giddy excitement. Link can jump and climb, you can pick up enemy weapons which break, and did I just get a bow within the first 30 minutes of the game?
The answer is yes, you did.
Yes, all of that.
Other reviewers also noted the game's massive size. According to Nintendo, it is 12 times the size of Twilight Princess.
Wow.
So it's a big world out there.
But it's not just the size of the landscape that makes it a big game, according to VentureBeat's review, it's the wealth of things to do. which bucks the one criticism that many have of open world games. They can be as wide as an ocean, but as shallow as a kiddie pool.
And that's not so with Breath of the Wild, though. As VentureBeat wrote, at any moment you could spend your time searching for challenge dungeons or running side quests for other characters. You could tame a horse or cook up special meals and elixirs. You could chase down the Amnesiac Link's memories, or you can just start running in a direction to see what you randomly stumble across.
And you can see what you can set on fire. There's a lot of stuff to set on fire.
You can set a lot of things on fire.
As for combat, reviewer says that it's nice and fluid in a manner that will feel familiar to fans of the series. The game's physics engine lets you send enemies flying with strong attacks or by swatting them out of the sky as they leap towards you, according to the 6-axis.
You can lock on to targets and strike or wait and dodge and then pull a slow motion counter move. You can fire arrows with your right trigger, but gravity will affect them long distances, which is a good thing that you should know before you run out of arrows.
That brings up another point of Breath of the Wild that might be annoying to some fans. Your weapons deteriorate and eventually break. Ditto for your shields.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Don't get attached to your weapons. As the 6-axis noted, thankfully enemies drop their weapons and other things when they die, but you can suddenly find yourself with just basic weapons to use, amping up the difficulty a few notches as you deal much less damage. Yeah, like you end up with a tree branch. Yeah. That has absolutely happened. I'm the mightiest warrior in the world. Fear my tree branch.
Another huge part of the game is cooking. Link Cooking Simulator confirmed. It's essential for recovering your health and surviving harsh climates. You can simply pop a mushroom or some meat into a pot, or you can combine up to 5 ingredients and create restorative dishes, often with status effects. Spicy foods, for example, keep you warm at night.
Or in the mountains.
But a lot of that you'll have to figure out on your own because, you know what, there is no tutorial, so just cook on, everybody.
A lot of it makes sense. Quick pro tip, don't combine foods with conflicting abilities or they'll cancel each other out.
And then you'll just be left with food.
Yeah, that's just the thing you should know. You only get like one of the two things. Overall, there's not a lot of hand-holding in Breath of the Wild. It's just up to you to explore, chart your own path, figure out what does what. But not everyone was a fan of the lack of help, like Polygon's reviewer, who wrote, "While I wholeheartedly approve of Breath of the Wild getting out of its own way immediately, I really would have appreciated any tutorial whatsoever on cooking, something the game doesn't care to elaborate on in any meaningful way until well into the experience."
Well, speaking of complaints, while Breath of the Wild has gotten some amazing scores, that doesn't mean it doesn't have some faults.
That's true.
Top among them, according to reviewers, was the frame rate, which we've seen a little bit of too. Virtually everyone reported that they noticed some drops, in some cases pretty severe ones.
Easy Allies noticed that there are serious frame rate issues when the Switch is docked. While it's especially bad in dense forests, the drops can happen pretty much anywhere. Easy Allies wrote, "In some cases, it's so bad that the game is virtually unplayable until the problem subsides. The frame rate issues are frequent enough that you can't ignore them either. It's the only serious blemish on an otherwise stellar open world experience."
However, since most of these reviews hit, Nintendo has dropped a day one update for the game that seems to address the majority of frame rate slowdowns.
Still worth being wary, but DualShockers actually ended up adjusting their score up from 9.5 to 10 after the update, saying, "Since the latest Breath of the Wild update was released, I have run into the issues less frequently." So there's a good sign.
That's an awesome sign. VentureBeat mentioned that selecting items from the menu or switching gear is a pain. Its reviewer wrote, "If I go from using my stealth armor to combat scenario, I have to pause the action to bring up the menu, I need to manually select the headwear, the shirt, and the pants. And when I'm cooking, I can't bring up a quick menu to throw ingredients into the pan," which, valid concerns.
Yeah, but interface and frame rate issues aside, which are legitimate concerns, but not deal breakers for most reviewers. Pretty much everyone loved this game. Reviewers called Breath of the Wild an innovative game that gives players an unmatched amount of freedom to do what they want to do and explore the game's massive amount of content at their own pace. It's a beautiful open world game that some say represents the pinnacle of the genre. It's safe to say that Breath of the Wild could be a system seller for the Nintendo Switch. You think?
As Giant Bomb put it, Nintendo may have changed so many long-standing traditions of the Zelda franchise, but the spirit of discovery is as strong as it's ever been, no matter your age. I didn't think I'd feel the Zelda magic this strongly ever again, but I couldn't be happier to be proven wrong.
I've had 20, maybe 25 hours in the game so far. Not enough to make any sort of final judgment on, but my impressions so far are that, yeah, the game definitely re-energizes the franchise. It feels big, it feels fresh, it feels ambitious. There's always something fun to be doing. If anything, it can be difficult to keep on track because there will be something over there that's shiny that you'll get distracted by. One thing I have seen a lot of people worry about in comments whenever we show gameplay is that the world looks pretty empty, and part of that's probably been intentional because embargoes did ask everyone to steer clear of any sort of story spoilers and such, but part of it is because honestly, there is a lot of the world that's just world and points of interest can be separated by a lot of distance, but that can also be mitigated by climbing a hill and parasailing off or taming a horse. I felt it most, for sure, the very first time I left the opening area, but since then I actually have had so many new things catching my interest that I haven't really noticed that sort of empty feeling at all. There have been some frame rate issues here and there as well, so I want to acknowledge that those are very valid, but with the day one update and everything, that's helping, or, at any rate, we're not seeing as many, so that's all really good. All in all, I think it may be a little bit hyperbolic to be calling it best game ever, but it is very, very, very good at what it does, and if you're thinking about getting it, I think anyone who goes into it knowing what the game is going to enjoy it. So what do you guys think of the reviews for Zelda Breath of the Wild? Are you planning on picking the game up? Let us know in the comments.
Also, we'll be streaming Breath of the Wild and a bunch of other Switch games tomorrow, Friday.
It's Switch Day.
It's Switch Day! So be sure to like and subscribe to The Know for all your Switch news and gameplay and extreme hype.
And if you want to make sure you get notifications when we start the stream tomorrow, there's a little bell icon you can click that will send push notifications to you so you can get right in on the action.
We will be streaming from 11 a.m. Central to 7 p.m. Central?
8-hour stream, yep.
8-hour stream, guys.
It's gonna be a fun time. More than one reviewer has said that the game's sense of exploration and discoveries made them feel like kids again, which is important to a lot of us because kids is when we started playing Zeldas, and it's that one of those really formational, I'm thinking Beyonce now, has made them feel like kids.